Our third rookie draft is in the books. It was the biggest to date. We did it this past Saturday here in Beaverfest. And the Just Beavin podcast back with you here to break it down. Andy, Drew, JP, fellas, quite the weekend it was. It was our first ever live draft, our third rookie draft, but it was the first where we had most of the league together. 12 of our 14 members were all in Bartlett doing the live draft. JP, I'll start with you, just reflecting on the weekend as a whole, getting all the fellas up here traveling from all parts of the country to select the next crop of rookies in this league.
Yeah, I'm thankful to everyone who showed up. It was a good time. It was an eventful night, truly. I was honored to lead the men through the draft, and I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did because I truly had a blast.
Beave, it was great to see you as well, man. You obviously were one of the out of towners that came in for the draft. Just your overall experience from the weekend.
No, yeah, it was good to see a majority of our league in one place. It was a shame that Mr. Luke Humley and Mr. Cam Boyer couldn't make it up, but I think everyone had a good time, especially meeting our new member Wade. I think everyone enjoyed that. Obviously, we had a little chaos, but hey, everyone had fun, so that's all that matters.
It was a good time had by all. A lot of memories. Some good golf was played as well on Saturday, and all the good things. Yes, fellas, thanks so much
Oh,
for coming out. Oh,
shout out to DJ Moore for popping out the golf course
yeah,
too.
DJ Moore. We had DJ Moore playing in the group behind us. A lot of fun stuff going on over the weekend. But to more serious things to take care of, we have a draft board in front of us in all of its glory. I believe this is how one of our first episodes of the podcast last year went down when we recapped our rookie draft. And we're not going to waste any more time. Drew is manning the controls here. We're going to go left to right, top of the board. Dade, who finished last in the league, had to do the Panda Challenge but did not own the top pick. He made four selections in this draft. We're going to go my panel here. I'll direct who goes first. We're going to give our draft grades, best pick, favorite pick, worst pick out of every one that they made. And then Drew and JP as well graded in terms of ranking through the divisions and the overall class between all 14 of our teams. I'll start us here with Dade, who made four selections, the 113, the 2-7, the 312, and the 412. I gave Dade a D plus. It was one of my lower ranked drafts, and for the main reason of I always said for everyone that the rankings are different based on what capital you had. Most guys with a first round pick got at least a C plus because they owned a first round pick. But with what Dade did with his first round pick, I wasn't a huge fan of. I like Cam Scatabo, just didn't see him going in the first round, so therefore he is my worst pick. And then my best pick and favorite pick that he made was Jack Besh. I think he could be really special out in Vegas. So Drew, what do you have here on Dade?
So I actually got a B minus on Dade. I actually like the Scatterbo pick. I really do think, as a Tyrone Tracy owner in the past, I really do think he's going to beat him out in camp. I think he's going to be the RB1 after camp's done and before week one. But I think his best pick was Jack Besh. I really like that pick. I think we can see him be that receiver two in Vegas, and I think him and Gino will have a good connection by the end of the year. My worst pick for him, though, I have DJ Gibbons. I don't really see the, I didn't really see the logic of him drafting him. I don't really see him having any upside for Dade's team with not owning Jonathan Taylor. Really, that's just the handcuff for Taylor, in my opinion. But yeah, that's all I got for him.
Yeah, I think we all agreed on favorite picks there. Mine was definitely Jack Besh as well. I gave Dade a B minus. I had no issue with the picking of Scatterbo that early. It really didn't bother me at all. The running backs went quick, they went fast. And if you wanted your guy, I mean, the next guy who went was Faisal Toot, not from Jacksonville, and he's not even going to be getting starting reps. I think all the guys that went in the first round are going to be the starters on day one. I also didn't. I know people are upset that he didn't take Egbuka, but he already has McMillan. I know it's very much different capital, but you don't like putting all your eggs in one team's basket. And then I do completely agree with Drew. I think the worst pick was the DJ Giddens pick. And then I also took it a step farther, and I gave them a rank for the division and for the league. So I had Dade with the eighth best draft in the league and the third best in the suits and soil division.
Oh, we're gonna do our ranks now. I thought we were gonna wait till
Oh,
the
we're
end.
saving. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. We can do that then.
Oh, okay. Well, it's up to you guys, whatever you guys think.
I
I was
didn't
just
do
gonna
them,
give it out as we
so
went.
you can throw
Oh,
yours in as well, Beav. I think that would be easier. So what
okay.
were your ranks
Well,
for Dade?
I did this differently. I did it where after the draft I had a league rank and how their team suited after the draft. So after the draft I had Dade as the 11th best team in our league now, and for division I have him as the fifth best team in his division.
Okay, there you have it, Mr. Spanky and his draft. Who do we got next, Drew?
We have Mr. Brady O'Donnell, Team Overdose.
Who did own his original pick? Drew, I will let you start here. He made a few different selections, including the 102.
Yeah, I got Brady at a C. As you see on the draft board, he took Hampton instead of Tet. I like that pick. I have him as that bet as for him as his best pick. I understand it. He has no running backs. He has Travis Etienne and Bigsby. Those are his only really running backs, and I guess Roshan Johnson. But as you see, we don't know who's going to be the RB2 in Chicago with us drafting a young guy from Rutgers. I really didn't really understand for his position. I mean, I go back and forth on this. My worst pick for him is Brashard Smith. I like Brashard Smith, but I just don't think. I mean, at 3-4, I didn't like the value. I thought he would go a lot later, and I don't really. I don't know. I just not a big. I don't know how to word it. I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it there. I just don't know. I don't know. But I do like Kyle Williams. I do think by the end of the year, I think he can beat Diggs out for the receiver one. I've seen a lot of hype all over the place. He's been busting at camp, and yeah. But for Brady, I got him for league rank. I got him 10 at the end of the draft, and for his division, I have him 6.
Alrighty, JP.
Yeah, so I could not disagree anymore with Drew. I actually think that was a terrible slew of ideologies right there. Um, First of all, I gave Brady an A. I had him at with the second best draft in the league and the second best in his division. My The best pick I thought he had was Kyle Williams. I liked him sniping Williams at the 209. Uh, that's who I wanted at the 210. Part of the reason I moved to 210 was because I believed I was going to get Fannin, Milrow, or Williams, and they literally all three went in a row. So that was fun. Um, and then the worst pick I had for Brady, I believe I put none, was my actual answer. But if I had to have picked, I would have picked Elijah Arroyo. It's just because I was the lowest on him out of everyone of the prospects. I mean, Brashard Smith, yeah, I'm relatively lower on just because he's sitting behind Pacheco and Hunt at the exact moment. But we have no clue. I mean, Brady's timeline isn't happening right now. He has the time to wait out Brashard Smith till this year or till the end of this year, going into next year, and even 2 years from now. And then getting Jackson Dart at 205. I mean, you just got a first round quarterback in the second round, even though it's going to take a year for him to get on the field. It's like I just mentioned with Brashard Smith. If someone's got the time in the league, it's Brady. So I love it.
All right. I'm similar boat with JP. I gave him an A minus. I really like what Brady did with this crop of players. Similar argument. Arroyo was my least favorite, kind of just by default. Best pick, Omarion Hampton, going to go chalk there. And then in terms of value, my favorite pick, I think Jalen Royals could be really sneaky at the 308 just because of where he's going into and the value there. I knew a lot of Kyle Williams dialogue was going to be had before my turn, so I wanted to kind of pivot and focus on another guy. But yeah, just echoing what you guys said, Brady took advantage of his capital, did not miss on many of his spots. He did a really good job capitalizing on just general value and where he was at, taking the best on the board. This is going to do really good things for his rebuild down the road. He made big strides over the weekend. So looking ahead, we got Crook, Mr. Cameron, next on our docket here. A bunch of picks made, JP, in this draft by Cam, and I'll let you start with the analysis on it.
Yeah, so again, this is another draft I absolutely loved. I ended up putting Gooner Sooner at the third best draft in the league, and also gave him the honor of the best draft in the Suits and Soil division. I loved every single move that was made here, every single one. It was really hard for me to pick something I didn't like, but I ended up going with just off pure value. The best pick he made was Tyler Warren, just from a pure value standpoint, getting a top 14 pick. all the way down at 114. Just incredible that he fell this far. That'd be the only argument you could make for Dade possibly taking there at 113, in my opinion. But the one pick I did dislike, but it was a fourth round pick, so I didn't put too much stock into it. I actually had him at an A minus. Then I realized I was grading him on this one pick way too hard. Is Jordan James at San Fran? The guy's never going to see the field, so I just thought that was a pointless pick. But I do have to say, what really pushed me over the edge for this draft was the tandem of Sanders and Gabriel. I was looking at Sanders at 302, and so sniping him at 301 and then also getting Gabriel that way you have both of them. I thought that was great. And then taking a flyer on Tez Johnson. He may not even make the roster, but I mean, the guy cooked at the Senior Bowl, so why not throw a dart at him?
Some would say it was perfect timing for Crook trading up and drafting Shadur. I'll jump in next, kind of echoing that. My worst pick was also Jordan James, similar reasons to what JP said. Favorite being Warren based on the value. The best pick, once again, going chalk, just the top guy on the board. And I think this guy will be awesome in this league is Quinshon Judkins going into a good situation in Cleveland. I know they also drafted Dylan Sampson, so similar to the Cleveland having two rookie quarterbacks, two rookie running backs in that backfield. But Judkins and Sampson really are competing with Jerome Ford there, and Quinshon's by far the most talented guy they have in their backfield. I gave him an A minus. Cam crushed it. He did a good job, similar to Brady, a couple guys who joined the league last year as expansion teams. So literally they've both been in the league for less than 12 months and they both made a big impact in their first rookie draft here in 2025. So once again, A minus the grade on Crook. Drew.
Yeah, I gave Crook a B plus. Excellent draft, but I'm not saying I love the Judkins picks, but I'm a little confused. I think he should have took Henderson at 109. I'm not saying Burden was a bad pick, but just looking at a situation with how heavy this running back class is and how low the running back class is going to be next year for Crook, probably being one of the worst teams in our league next year, I just thought be better to suit him with one of these running backs instead of Burden with the class next year being heavy. I wouldn't even say it's heavy receiver, it's a heavy quarterback class next year, but I just thought Crook should have went running back there, but my favorite pick, like JP said, is Tyler Warren. Tremendous value there at 114. But other than that, I don't really have anything to say. I didn't really have a worse pick for Crook. I liked every one he picked. League rank after this draft for Crook, I have him at 13. Division rank, I have him at last at 7. So other than that, good job, Crook.
And a boy Cam.
No, remember, I'm doing my rankings different. Like I'm ranking them how I think they did after the draft, like how they fit in the league, like in the rest of the
Oh,
league.
okay.
You get
Yeah,
what I'm
your
saying?
guys rank
Yeah,
your guys
yeah.
ranks are completely
I
different from
took that
JP.
I took that a different way during our text earlier. My bad.
No, we're good. We're good.
Alrighty, Mr. Ty McCain next on the board, a guy who was very active early, having some major picks. Where are we at? Where are we at? There we go. 3 in the first round, guys. I'll start us off here with Ty. I gave Ty a B in this draft. I promise I didn't always do this with the best pick, but I really do love Tedero McMillan. If you've watched our mock draft podcasts over the last few months, you know how much JP and I both really like McMillan, and he was going to get a really good landing spot no matter where he went in this league. Favorite pick is Caleb Johnson. He was my draft crush. It didn't really matter where he went. I was going to love Caleb Johnson as a fantasy guy, as a guy in the NFL, no doubt about it. And the worst pick he made, it's hilarious because Ty was probably pestering me about moving off the 212 for a solid 15 minutes at the draft. And then he probably airballed it compared to the rest of his picks. I'm not a Terrence Ferguson fan whatsoever in terms of fantasy value. I think he could be okay. It's just weird. LA's a weird spot to be in right now with tight ends. Getting Tyler Higbee back from injury. Parkinson's still there as well. I just don't know how that's going to work right away. And yeah, I had Ferguson going in the mid third, so having him late second, I just didn't see the vision there. I know we said it with who took Arroyo, was that
Brady.
Brady? Yeah,
Yeah.
I probably would have taken Arroyo before I took Ferguson. So I mean that could be a little thing to knock on him. But yeah, once again, B is the grade, and those are my 3 picks. Best, favorite, and worst on Mr. Ty. Beef, I'll give the floor to you.
Yeah, I gave Ty an A. I really like Ty's draft. I mean, it does help that he had 3 first round picks, with selecting Ted, Johnson, and Harvey. My favorite pick from Ty's draft is RJ Harvey. I love the man. I've been a big fan of him. I was really thinking about taking him at 109, but I decided to go with my guy Trayvon Henderson instead. I think he's going to really succeed in that Denver offense. Uh, so yeah, But my worst pick for Ty is I got him having taking it was tremendous value for him at 202, but I have him taking Matthew Golden as his worst pick. I just don't know. It's a big question mark with that Green Bay offense. We haven't really seen a good receiver come out of the draft succeed in that Green Bay offense. It's all over the place, as we seen last year. It was Dobbs, Reed, Wicks is all over the place, scattered all over the place for points. But other than that, I think Ty had a good draft. My league rank for Ty, I have 9 after this draft, and then for division, I have him as 5. But other than that, good draft, Ty.
All right, so I had Ty with the 5th best draft in the league, 3rd best in his division. Best pick, I went with McMillan. Favorite pick, just off pure value, I went with Golden. And then the worst pick, I had none. Ferguson's up there. I really don't like Ferguson as a prospect, but getting a tight end who was like 4th off the board or 5th off the board to a Sean McVay offense all the way down at the 212, I just thought the value was too good not to do it. And then his first round may have been the most perfect of all first rounds. I mean, he really didn't have any decisions to make, which I remember I probably said that about 10 times on our draft episode last year, that it's so easy when you don't have any decisions you have to make. I believe I said that 400 times in reference to Drew's draft last year, that every pick he made was just no brainers. But I gave Ty an A. I loved the draft. He killed the 5 picks he made, even though he ended up trading Ferguson. If we were really discussing trades, Ty probably had the best uh, draft in the league after the getting a first for Ferguson, Gabriel, and James immediately during the draft. So
Shout out Wade. That was the reactions there were pretty wild, nonetheless. But yes, Ty, 3 first-round picks, making the most of them. We go from a guy with 3 first-rounders to a guy who had 4 picks total, and his first pick didn't come until the 311, Mr. Jack Bauer. Drew, I'll let you start here.
Yeah, there's not really much to say about this. It's just a bunch of flyer picks, but I gave Jack a C minus. These are just players that you just gotta take a flyer on and hope they pan out, and that's what Jack did. Taking Restrepo at 4.404. I did like that pick. That was probably my favorite pick from Jack. I think he's gonna make the roster. I'm not gonna lie. He's basically best friends of Cam Ward, as we've seen in these last press conferences that Ward's been saying. My worst pick with Jack is Trevor Etienne, or not? No, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever, Etienne. Uh, I just don't see him having any floor in Carolina with Chuba there and them signing Rico Dow. I just don't see him having anything to do there, so I don't really get that pick. Uh, Other than that, I don't really have anything on Jack. I gave Jack a division rank of 6, and then a league rank of 12.
What do you got, JP?
yep, I gave Jack a B minus. Had him with the 10th best draft in the league and the 5th best in his division. For my favorite pick, I had Trevor Etienne. I like Etienne as purely a receiving back. I think he's gonna easily get the 3rd down reps over there in Carolina, and then you hope he can build a floor in the run game. Behind a Dowdle injury, a Hubbard injury, because I'm not against Rico Dowdle. He's just obviously not your RB1. And I think Etienne has a path there to a role as at least the RB2. And so getting an RB2 and a handcuff in the 2nd round or in the 4th round, sorry, is great value. Then what I thought the best pick was Torrey Horton. I loved that pick. I was looking to get him hopefully at 314. I moved down confidently thinking I'd be able to get him and was unable to. And so then I have him for the worst pick. I have Nick Nash. I mean, is it really fair to call the mystery relevant the worst pick? Probably not, but I don't even think he's going to make the day 1 roster. I could easily be wrong, but that to me is the worst pick.
I gave Jack a C minus in this draft. Partially, I mean, not much he could do having, all his picks late. My best and favorite, Torrey Horton. Absolutely love everything about him as a prospect. I think he could be really good in that Seahawk offense. My least favorite pick was actually Xavier Restrepo. Ty made a good point the next morning after the draft because he did not get any Titans players and was not thrilled about that. He said he did not know how Restrepo got drafted. I could definitely make the argument of him going above a few guys in this last round. But at the same time, I didn't want to take Nick Nash just because, like JP said, last pick in the draft, I feel like it's kind of unfair to do that. Fourth round receivers really could have been all over the board, but I just wasn't sure about Restrepo. I didn't think he was actually going to be drafted. So let alone going high in the fourth. I feel like he could have been a guy that may have stuck around toward the end for Jack. But that's nitpicking just because all he had were 3/4 and a third. So once again, C minus. And then big fan of everything he did with Horton. He at least made the most of the first pick that he had in this draft. Drew, our next guy up is Mr. Luke Hunley, as you mentioned at the top of the show. Unfortunately, one of our few guys who could not make the draft this weekend. We missed you, Luke. Wish you could have been there. He made one pick at the 204 JP, and that was Bayshall 2.
Yeah, that pick sucked. I really don't. I literally do not care that Mason his pick was Mason Taylor. The first name that came to Cam Boyer's head was obviously Tootin, and so that's who Luke took. Yes, Luke, we all know that you were getting your info from Cam Boyer. Have fun. That's also BS. Maybe read an article or something. Anyways, he sucks, and so have fun with that when he's not even on the roster in 2 years. That'll be hilarious. Anyways, I gave Luke a D plus, and he had the worst draft outside of anybody not named Cam Boyer because Cam Boyer owned no picks. How's it possible you have one pick and get a D plus? You take Bayshall Tootin with the 204. That's how that's possible. So I had Luke with the worst draft of anybody who owned draft picks and the 7th ranked draft in his division.
I'll just jump in real quick. I gave him a D. That's all I have. It originally was incomplete, but I quickly changed that before we started the show because JP made a good point. He made a pick, so I should have given him a grade. So yes, a D for Luke.
Yeah, I gave him also a D, and I didn't even give him a best pick. I just put worst pick Tootin. I mean that pick was just terrible. I mean, I don't even know how he was comfortable taking him. We all know this is a Cam Boyer pick, but I mean, I know some people aren't fans of Twitter, but I mean, everyone is tweeting him, dropping passes, fumbling balls like crazy. I don't know what the logic was behind this, especially when they still have ETN and Bigsby. So I don't know. That's just me. But I gave him a D.
All right, quick and easy with Luke. Not much else to look at. We got Zippy up next here on our draft board. He made 4 picks, guys. I'll start with Jake. I gave him a B minus in this draft. Best pick was Colston Loveland. Pick they made in the first round. My favorite pick is Jalen Milrow because I think that could turn out very well for him down the road, given a couple of years to develop. And by default, Isaac Tisla is my least favorite pick, and JP and I both have voiced on this podcast how much we don't like him as a prospect and how Detroit took him way too high. Maybe a little bit different with fantasy, late in the 4th round, but I wasn't going to go ahead and say his best or favorite pick of mine was also the worst pick. That wouldn't make any sense. I know, I guess I could have done none, but I feel like I could just continue to jump on my disliking of Isaac Tisla as a prospect. So once again, B minus the grade for Jake.
Yeah, I also gave him I did not also give him a B minus. I don't know why I started to say that. I gave him an A minus. The only problem I had was I thought Loveland was overdrafted, but then again, Zippy's in a position where he doesn't have to have, a certain position. If anything, he needed a quarterback. So then he goes out and takes Milrow. Now, am I a little upset that I didn't get Milrow? Yes. Do I still think 208 was an overdraft of a guy who may not see the field for 2 to 3 years? Yeah, I do. And I think it would have been an overdraft if I took him when I was looking at him at 205. Hell, I would even argue 302 may have been an overdraft. I know people aren't as high on Sanders and Shug anymore, but I mean, Shug's definitely going to be the day one starter, and Sanders was definitely going to get his opportunity to start before the season ends. Melro, it's 2 to 3 years. Now, again, Zippy has the time to wait. I believe he still is Purdy his other quarterback, Daniels and Purdy.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So he's obviously got the time to wait. So no big deal there. My favorite pick he made was Milrow, just because I like Milrow. I know I just dumped all over it, but that was my favorite pick, just as purely a player. But his best pick was Isaac Tisla, just because the Lions took him in the 3rd round, getting him all the way down in the 4th. I mean, that's just crazy value. But it also goes to tell you the consensus on him that he's not going to be very good. So
What do you got,
Yeah, I
Beef?
mean, I just kept it simple. Gave him an A. Favorite pick, kind of chalk. I gave him Loveland. I think he's gonna thrive in that Ben Johnson offense. Worst pick. I mean, I didn't really have a bad pick for Jake. I mean, if I had to say someone, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this Detroit receiver's name. Uh,
Tisla.
sure, Tisla. But I mean, Jake had a good draft. He drafted Milrow. Yes, it was kind of an overdraft, but I think he's a great prospect. And I love Loveland, so I gave him an A. So I gave him a league rank, number 2, and then division rank number 1. So
Who doesn't love Loveland, especially us as Bears fans? You all know the drill by now. It wouldn't be a Just Beavin episode without an intermission. We'll take one of those here quick for 2 seconds. And we'll wrap up the rest of this draft recap here on the Just Beavin podcast. We are back here, second part of our show. You know how we do here on the Just Beavin podcast. Wade Worthington's draft is up next for us to review. Guys, you only made 3 picks in this draft at the 305, 309, and 402. JP will kick it off with you here. Your overall analysis of what Wade did here in his first rookie draft.
Yeah, I was between going with a C plus and a B minus, and I'm actually going to alter it at the second. I have a B minus, but I'm going to change it to a C plus. Uh, Not because I hate any of his picks. They just weren't, nothing great happened and nothing bad happened. I love the Devin Neal pick. That's by far my favorite pick. I love taking a flyer on Will Howard. I know that was mainly he's a Steelers fan, so that kind of made sense on that one. But I do think he could be their, intermediate term starter, almost like a Daniel Jones kind of thing. And I actually think given the right weapons, he'd be an adequate NFL starter. And then I love Ollie Gordon purely as an RB2. A-Chain is going to be the workhorse over there until they can't run him anymore. I just saw something they're going to up his touches, which is absolutely crazy because he had an insane amount of touches last year. So now he's looking at like a Jahmyr Gibbs type workload, a Bijan type workload, which should be awesome for you, Andy. But I think Ollie Gordon could easily be the RB2 over there and probably the goal line back. I mean, he's a monster. So I think it's just good taking a flyer on him. So I ended up with a C plus. I ended up with him as the 11th best draft in the league and the 6th best in his division.
You didn't have a least favorite pick for him?
No least favorite pick, just all right there.
Yeah, I gave him a C. Pretty much the same thing that you said. No least favorite pick, just because with such little to work with, it was hard. And I couldn't find a guy I didn't like here. Best pick being Devin Neal's unfortunate. I have Kamara. That would have been a really nice handcuff to get. And I was looking to maybe do that earlier, but things happened in my draft that we'll talk about in a little bit that I could not pass up on. And then my favorite pick is Will Howard, because like you said, could end up getting some starts at some point here in the next couple of seasons. Beave, what do we got for you?
you guys hit on the money. Best pick, Devin Neal, obviously, and my favorite pick was Will Howard. Actually, I was gonna take him at, I think I had what, 312, 312 or something, and Wade jumps up, and I'm like, I'm gonna kill him. But that happens. Friendly battle, and it didn't work out. But league rank. I have Wade still as our worst team in our league, unfortunately, and I have him as the worst team in his division. But I give him a B in this draft. So on to our next person,
Should be
Andy.
It'd be Matt,
Yes, sir.
who made 3 total selections as well, and Mason Taylor, Dylan Sampson, and Jaden Blue. And he traded up to get Mason Taylor, I do believe. Who did I have start this last one? My memory is so terrible. You know what? We'll just have Drew. Drew, you're going to start here. Your analysis of Matt's draft.
Well, I gave him a B plus. For my reasons. He drafted Mason Taylor, Dylan Sampson, and who was the other one? Oh, Jaden Blue. Okay. Best pick, chalk, Mason Taylor. I gave him, just like him because Fields loves throwing to his tight ends. But my favorite pick that he took is Jaden Blue. I really think Jaden Blue can outbeat Williams for the RB1 spot in camp. I really do. Now, do I think it's going to happen? No, but I think he's going to give a good fight for it, and I could see him being the RB1 by the end of the year. Worst pick, I gave him Dylan Sampson. I go back and forth on this. Yes, they took Judkins, but they took Sampson in the 4th round, right? Or am I or
They
Fourth
took
round,
Sampson in the 4th,
fifth,
yeah.
fifth, fourth,
Or
yeah.
fifth?
Fourth, fifth.
So they took him whatever. They took him early.
It was,
in the
I think,
4th
pick
or
122. So I think
Yeah.
he was a 4th round pick.
So he's a big back. I could see him being a little a little workhorse, but I don't know. They got Judkins. I think they're going to use him a lot in Ford. So at worst, I see him being behind Ford. I don't think he'll be in front of Ford, but I've been seeing everywhere that they're going to try to use Judkins and Sampson as the 1 and 2 backs. So we'll see. But not a bad draft for Matt. I liked his draft. I gave him league rank overall, 7th in our league and 4th in his division.
All righty, JP, what do we got?
I gave Matt a C plus, had him with the 12 worst or best, depends on how you look at it in the league, and 6th best in his division. Mason Taylor as the best and favorite, Jaden Blue as the worst pick. I'm beyond low on Jaden Blue. I do not see an NFL ceiling outside of a pass catching back. I actually think Javonte Williams will do perfectly fine over there, and it wouldn't shock me if Miles Sanders ends up as the third down back long term for the season. I really don't like Jaden Blue at all. And then I thought Dylan Sampson, well, it was whatever. I mean, it was whatever. I would have taken Fannin over Mason Taylor. I get some people's preference. And then Matt's another team who I think needed a quarterback, and I think Jackson Dart was right there, and that's who he should have taken. So for that, I give him a C plus. Or did I say a C?
I think you
Sorry.
said C plus.
I did. Yes, I give him a C
But,
plus.
C plus happens to actually be my grade as well for Matt. You do bring up a good point with Dart, JP, but I still think given the circumstances, the best and favorite pick is Mason Taylor on my end. And yeah, we got a lot of similar opinions on Matt's draft. Not a big Jaden Blue guy either. Not a big. I'll take it a step further. Not only am I not a big Jaden Blue guy, and you'll find out later with my draft, not a big fan of what Dallas has got cooking in their backfield as a whole. It's just a very weird group of running backs this year that I can't quite put my finger on. See, Javonte Williams will be the guy, but it's still just for me very strange. And it'll be interesting to see how they kind of piece that together. I was expecting them to maybe do more in the draft other than a guy like Jaden Blue. I was expecting them to swing a bit more for the fences. Maybe if they had a guy like Genty available to them at their pick, which wasn't going to be possible, or maybe they could have gone Hampton, but instead they waited to go Jaden Blue. So because of that, Dallas's backfield will be interesting this year. And like I said, once again, C plus the grade for me on Matt. I'll kick us off here with Mr. Tamillo's draft. Frank up next. He made 2 first-round picks in a second. Pretty simple. I gave him a B minus. Favorite pick of his, the best pick, I should say, favorite and best. I had favorite and best here being Cam Ward. This was to remind those, and we don't talk trades at the podcast anymore. Beaver.fest on Instagram to check out trades. I've been lacking on those a bit lately, but I'll be getting those up more consistently now. Frank traded got the 105 and the 112 for Patrick Mahomes. He used one of those 2 picks that he got in the Mahomes trade to get Cam Ward. Based on what he had in his draft, didn't have a lot of picks to work with. I gave that as my best and my favorite pick for him. My least favorite pick, my worst pick that I believe Frank made out of the 2 left. I didn't love the value on Jaden Higgins at 112. I feel like there were other receivers that I had. I know I had other receivers ranked higher than Higgins in that spot. There were guys that went early second that I probably would have taken above Higgins as well, JP.
Yeah, I echo everything you just said about Higgins. I thought that was way too early for Higgins to go. That was by far my least pick. My favorite pick and best pick was Pat Bryant, and I ended up giving Frank a. I gave Frank a B minus, purely because he gets the QB1 in the draft. I think Higgins will be fine long term, which is fine, cool. But no offense to Frank, but he's going into year 3 now of having the best team in the league and hasn't won a championship yet. And so I actually think he needs guys who are going to help his team win right at this exact moment. Pat Bryant, I really liked at 211. I was actually hoping he'd fall to me at 308. We weren't even close on that one. So I ended up giving Frank a B minus and giving him the 4th in the division and 9th in the league.
All right, Beef, hit us.
Yeah, I gave Frank my favorite pick, Pat Bryant. No bias there. I really like that pick. Yes, it's a little overdraft, but hey, like we said, you got to get your guy if you want to get your guy. Something along those lines, right? Yeah. Anyways, worst pick. I had him taking Jaden Higgins. I thought that was a way overdraft. I thought there was better value out there, especially with Warren being out there and Abuka out there still. Uh, that's crazy. I can't believe. We'll talk about that later, but. Other than that, I don't got much to say. Frank, league rank 3, and then division rank I have him at 2. But other than that, got nothing.
Yeah, he got his picks out of the way after the 211. Frank was just hanging out in the war room, having a good time for the rest of the draft. Cam Boyer up next, incomplete. Mr. Boyer did not own any picks in the draft. And Do you two have anything else to add to that? I just incomplete.
We can say he
I know he
got Jonathan
traded
Taylor.
I know he traded Pittman for like seconds and fourths, and so I think he lost that trade.
I also think he lost the Jonathan Taylor trade.
Only
Yeah.
That's all I got.
only comment I have is wish we could have seen Mr. Boyer.
Yep,
That's really about it. And yeah,
I
the
agree.
Jonathan Taylor trade was something else. So we talk about something else. Beave, your draft, man. You made 2, 4, 7, 6, 7 picks, my man. Because it's your
Yeah.
draft, we'll give you the floor here to start it off.
Yeah, obviously, I'm gonna be a little biased here. I gave myself an A, not A plus, because obviously I didn't get all my guys I wanted, but I'll be a little biased. Favorite pick, or honestly, best pick was Ashton Genty. I mean, I don't need to do a lot of explaining there.
In the selection itself that went along with the Ashton Genty pick was pretty electric. It was a good way to set the tone for the draft, Drew.
Yes, it was. Maybe that video will be on Beaverfest later. We'll have to see. But anyways, favorite pick of this draft was Trey Harris. I was at 203 and moved down to 206 and picked up another third and still got my guy I wanted. So that was very exciting. I was very happy about that. I know we didn't have this real category, but sleeper pick, I have Ty Felton. I really think he can be that receiver three in Minnesota. That's just me. I really think that he can bust it in camp and get that position for him and lock up the receiver three before the season starts. But other than that, I don't really have. I guess my worst pick. I didn't really have a worst pick, but if I had to say someone, I'd probably say Gunnar Helm. But I really thought that was a good pick. I really like that pick still. But if I had to give myself a worst pick, I'd say Gunnar Helm. But league rank for myself, I gave myself fifth overall in the league and division rank 3. But what do you boys gotta think?
I'll jump in. I gave you an A, Drew. You were my best ranked draft out of everyone. My best pick for you was Genty for obvious reasons, that being the 101. I Ironic enough, you bring up Trey Harris. That was also my favorite pick of yours that you made. I really think he's going to do well there in Los Angeles. And even though we are Bears fans, my least favorite pick of yours that you made solely based on value was Kyle Monangai. I thought he would have gone a bit later, but running backs were really weird in the last half of the draft. Guys were just kind of going wherever, so I also can't fault you too much there. But like you said, it was hard to find a least favorite. I actually really like Gunnar Helm. I was a fan of him at Texas, and I had said multiple times if the Bears did not go tight end in the first round, that's a guy who I would have wanted them to maybe grab at the beginning of the third day. And wherever he went would be a target for fantasy. Obviously, I just didn't own as many picks in this draft, so that was tough. But yes, an A for you, Drew. That is my grade on your behalf.
Am I crazy to think that he can beat Chig out for tight end one before the season?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
I don't know. That is I might not be as against that, but it's just that's a weird situation as well. Tennessee in general, just yeah, I don't know. But JP,
Okay, I Drew was my highest rated draft. He was the only A plus I gave. But I just want to preface this again. It wasn't until he took Kyle Monangai that he had a decision to make. I mean, there literally was not a decision to make. Um, Yeah, I mean, no, you can look at the whole board. Until he took Monangai, those first three picks, there was not a decision to make. And then even at the 307, Noel right there, not a decision. 313, I don't know how he thought that was a bad pick. Gunnar Helm is a great tight end. That really wasn't a decision. And then my worst pick is with Andy as well, just purely off a value standpoint. Monangai, it may take him a while to actually get into the offense. That or Jimmy Horn. I don't know where this random Jimmy Horn hype is coming from. It's 100% because he went to Colorado. I don't even know if he's going to make the roster. I don't think he's a better slot receiver than Renfro if Renfro still has it, but he's definitely not better than Jalen Coker. Coker came in and got 120 yards first game in the league. Shout out Jalen Coker, by the way. Anyways, so I really don't think it really agonizes me to say this, but you did have a great draft, Drew. Congratulations on fleecing Dade and taking advantage of drunk men.
all righty,
That sounds
all
like
right.
assault. What the?
Whoa, I didn't
Whoa,
I didn't say that. Well, I don't know why you thought that. Is that what you're implying?
I'm not.
May have to take this up with the council. But
It's
we'll
a little
move on
messed
though.
up.
Only two more. It is it's funny how it works with the three of us being the last three drafts that we review, just going off order. I made three picks in this draft. They were all actually in the left side of the board, which is funny that that's also how that worked out. The 202, the 401, the 403. I only owned two picks entering the draft on Saturday, that being the 208 and the 401. I picked up the 403 in a trade with Dade where I sent him Trey Tucker just because for the literal reason of I was at the draft, I wanted to have a good time and I wanted to make more than two selections. And then a draft day trade struck where I got to move up to the 202. Mr. Wade Worthington approached me, asked for 208 and Javonte Williams for the 202. I saw a guy in Emeka Egbuka that I thought had potential and a guy who I would have preferred to have rather than any of the receivers that I could have gotten at 208. And for that reason, because I didn't have any options, he was my best and my favorite pick that I made. My least favorite pick was Savion Williams, just because I'm sure I could have done something else in the fourth, but he's a gadget guy. He could be a player in Green Bay. That offense is so weird, like Drew said, though. But I feel like at that point it was just taking a throw at a guy who's an athletic freak, could be something special there. But just because I didn't make many picks, Jarquez Hunter as well as a guy who I was targeting the whole time at the 401, so it was cool that I was able to get him there. But a C plus for me on my end, just because didn't really have much to unpack. JP.
Yeah, I ended up giving you a B plus purely off of getting Egbuka all the way down at 202. I hated the Jarquez Hunter pick. I thought that was absolutely egregious, so that was by far my worst pick. And I like the value on Savion Williams there. You own Christian Watson, you lose Christian Watson due to injury, so you go out and you get Christian Watson in the fourth. I think it's a perfect replacement right there. I actually thought it was brilliant. Now it's unfortunate because you're gonna have to deal with Christian Watson again, and I know that's been a very big mental battle for you over the past couple of years, so that's going to be brutal. But yeah, Jarquez Hunter, I really like Jarquez Hunter. And it's the same thing with all these running backs. I mean, they all just went to bad situations. I mean, I
Yeah.
thought Sampson was a day one starter somewhere and ends up going to the same team as Judkins. I love Devin Neal and ended up going to the Saints. It was just a bad fault landing spots for a lot of these running backs. And so I ended up giving you a B plus. I mean, getting a book at 202 is an absolute steal. So congratulations on that.
I do want to throw in. I realized right after I made the pick. I don't know why I didn't draft Ollie Gordon, seeing as I owned Von A Chain.
Me and Jalen
Yeah,
Wright.
yeah,
Me and
yeah,
every mock I ran, every single one I'll send it to you had you taking Ollie Gordon
yeah.
401.
I just did think it was one of those where I didn't realize it until after I did it, and I think I looked at my brother and I said I don't know why I just did that, and then of course Gordon went the very next pick. So yeah, I don't know why I did that, but Drew, sorry, I'll let you. I had to cut it and say that because I didn't realize I did that till after I did it. I realized that was a
No,
mistake.
I gave you the same exact grade. I gave you a B plus. Abuka at 202. What a snipe. Congrats for moving up because if he was still there at 203, I would have not traded down and I would have took him there. So glad you did that. My worst pick I have is Jaquez Hunter. I did not like that pick at all, being a Blake Corum owner. I still think Corum will be the RB2 there, but that's just a biased opinion. So take that how you want to take it. League rank I had you at 8, and division rank I had you at 3. So other than that, good draft, Jack. I really like
Thank
the
you, thank you.
Buka. I like the Buka pick.
I wasn't expecting it, to say the least.
That
I had
is
no
crazy.
intention. I had no intention of moving off 208. I planned on keeping it, but
Hey,
here we are.
what about what about a fourth for Christian Watson?
We'll talk later.
All right.
We will talk later. We'll wrap it up here with our defending champ, the commissioner, Mr. McGuire, who got the opportunity to make a handful of picks as well in this draft. JP, your thoughts, your reflections here.
Yeah, my favorite line. I didn't have a decision to make at 104. It was going to be one of those three from Hampton, McMillan, Hunter. So it just fell in my lap. I owned 205. I could have taken Dart, but moved down to 210. Was between Dart, Milrow, and Fannin. So ended up getting one of my guys anyways. Figured I could move back, pick up an extra third, which I used. Well, I owned 302 and took Io Manor there. Was always taking him at 302. And then Was there when I saw Sanders go and missing out on Milrow. I wanted to leave with at least one of the QBs who could potentially start week one. So went with Shug, flipped him already on a great trade for my team. And then I believe I took Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt at 314,
I
who
got to
I
announce the pick.
who I absolutely
Electric.
love. And then I took Quinn Ewers at 410. Again, just a dart throw on a quarterback. He's going to be sitting on the taxi squad for at least the entirety of this year, if not gets cut, and then someone else can have him. But figured I'd take a flyer in case Tua goes down and Ewers shows something. So
Beeve.
anyways,
Oh,
I
your grades.
gave myself an A. Uh, but I gave myself an A. Gave myself the fourth best in the league and the second best in the division.
We
Okay,
got
well,
Beeve.
I gave you an A grade. What'd you say you gave yourself, JP? An area.
An A.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I gave you an A. Best pick. We all kind of shocked. Hunter, really like that pick. It just worries me a little bit if he's gonna play both sides of the field, which he's a dog, so it's not gonna matter. Let's not fool ourselves there. Favorite pick though, Iron Manor. I've always loved the guy. You got him at great value. 302. Love it. I think he's gonna succeed in Tennessee. I kid you not, I really think he's gonna be the receiver three to start the year. I think he's gonna beat out Lockett. That's my bold prediction. Probably sounds crazy, but I think he
So
can
then
do it.
who's the receiver two?
Don't they still have Boyd over there, or is he done? I thought he
Tired.
signed. Oh, retired? I thought he signed a 3-year deal.
Oh.
Quite the
Uh,
contrast.
oh,
Lockett's gonna be the receiver too. Io Manor will probably they're different positions, so
no,
they'll all
I
be on the
lied.
field.
Well, sorry for my bad ball knowledge for the Titans. Should that tie pick me up there? My bad. Anyways, I gave you division rank, give you one, league rank one. But I didn't really have you having a worse pick. If I had to give you a worse pick, I'd probably give you Quinn Ewers, but I like that pick. Same with my Gunnar Helm pick. He'll be a good taxi squad member, sit on your bench for 2 years, and hopefully gets a starting job by then. So, okay. Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, man. A minus the grade on me. Kind of echoing what you guys have said. Hunter's obviously the best pick. And I when JP, me and Zippy did the draft reviews, I knew Io Manor was where you were looking the third JP, and that's why it's my favorite pick for you, is because you got your guy as your sleeper pick. I really didn't have a worse pick for you, but if I had to have a worse one, it's not the value. The value you got on this guy was fantastic. I just think he's not going to be a good pro. It's Tyler
Yeah,
Shug. I
yeah,
I think he's going to suck. I think he's going to flop big time.
totally
But
agree.
in terms of value though, you can't. It's one of those weird things. Most of the time when we do worst picks, it's value or it's just situation. But it's like, no, you got a guy who's going to start. That's fantastic. Good for you. But unfortunately for you, he's just not going to be a good professional quarterback.
Yeah,
But you're
we were
willing to
sitting
roll
there
the
at
dice there.
yeah, we
So
were sitting there at the draft, and me and Brady were in the middle of discussing a trade because he wanted to move up to 308, which, if you look at the board, it did get done. But I looked at him at 303 because I was debating, honestly, taking Jalen Royals at 303 back after Io Manor, and I go, you know what? Screw it, I'm taking Shug. So that was literally my mind
yeah,
like flipped like that, and I just looked down at my sheets, saw he was there, and I'm like, you know what? Whatever. Literally
screw
the
it.
second
Yeah.
quarterback off the board. Whatever.
Yeah, that is. I mean, it's hard to.
What do you got?
I don't blame you for doing it. If I was in your spot, I probably would have done the same thing. And it's like I said, value wise, you're gonna get a guy who's starting right away. That's awesome. You don't get that in the third round for a quarterback ever. Just unfortunately, he's not a very good quarterback, so that makes
Who
it tough.
would you?
What's up, Beef?
Who would you guys compare him to? Like I can't like
I can't give him a comp. I don't think I have a
I
guy I
can't
can
either.
compare
That's
him
I
to.
don't either. I can't like would a comp be? And this sounds terrible. Is his comp Danny Jones? And he's not.
No,
It's
No, I thought Daniel Jones was a better prospect than I do Tyler
I think
Shug.
I think
okay.
play. Okay,
Kyle
I'll come.
Trask.
I got a guy. I got a guy.
Okay.
Not necessarily where he got drafted. This guy was a better prospect than Shug, but I think they're going to have very similar in terms of the way their career goes. Jake Locker was the first guy that came to my mind in terms of how their career falls out. But Locker was a really hyped up prospect. So at the same time, that's not really a good comp. But I think just in terms of how I envision their careers going, I think he could have a very similar career to a Jake
Because
Locker, even though he
because
wasn't as hyped up.
I was at first envisioning Trey Lance, but they play way different. Like they play.
I envision Josh Rosen if he was 4 years older. If
That's a good
Shug
one
was
too.
20, if Shug was 22 and was putting up. This is the problem, though. Everyone says, "Oh, if Suge was younger, he would have gone higher." If he was younger. Just 3 years ago, he was a 22-year-old quarterback in college football, but he wasn't good enough. It took him 8 years to be better than the competition he was playing against.
Didn't he have a terrible combine too? That's what I don't get. Like I saw he had a bad combine.
It
His
was more
throwing
so
at the
just
combine was bad.
it was more so just a lot of clips of him doing stupid
Stupid.
sidearm throws and
Okay. So here's the other thing. I know we all know. I know we want to end the show. I just got one more thing.
Go for it, Beef.
If they trade Olave, who's the number one over there? Is it Shaheed?
Bub Means.
Means.
That's who I'd bet on. I'm serious. Bub Means
Fire-
or Mason Tipton, maybe.
Mason Tipton. Mason
Or
Tipton in
it'd probably be one of
2025.
the. It'd probably be Jawan Johnson. Would probably be their leading receiver. Would be my guess. He quietly had like 700 yards last year. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drew, you're
And
gonna
he
regret
had like
that Bob
he had like
Means
a
trade, man.
he had like a
Anytime.
72% usage rate in the slot. That could be
Didn't
big
he
things.
play in college with Shug?
Jawan Johnson?
Yeah, didn't he?
No,
I want to say they
no
were college
way.
teammates.
Where at?
I don't know. I'm looking this up right now. Tyler
No
Shug.
way.
No way.
Stop.
Jawan Johnson's been in the league for 4. He just got his second contract.
Yeah. I'm confirming this right now, my good friend here at Google.
So
Yeah,
the
they were
show-
college teammates at Oregon. They
At
played
Oregon.
together
I was going to say it would have had to be at Oregon then. That's
Yeah.
insane. Jawan Johnson
Yeah.
just got his second contract.
He's like 5 or
Oh
6
my
years into the league.
God, that is crazy, bro.
Yeah.
That is. Oh my bad. I didn't mean to hit that. That is crazy.
Yeah, man.
That's
Wow.
insane. That's insane.
So there you have it, folks. Our third rookie draft was by far. I mean, I'll speak for everyone. I mean, we had a great time. That was a
fun.
boatload of fun. Thanks for everyone who made it possible in person. And that we got through the draft and had a great time, a good weekend. It was a whole lot of fun. And in terms of the show for the summer, probably won't be a lot of consistent content. We all got stuff going on. JP's back working. I got a big job, and just the league content over the summer just doesn't really happen a whole lot. We'll be back for the start of the season. We'll try to pop in when we can over the summer. We just can't promise anything on a consistent basis, but that'll do it here for this installment recapping our 2025 rookie draft on the Just Beavin podcast. We will talk to you next time.